Well, we got another Class C in here. You know what one this one is? Let's see, it's an Ultra something. Ultra limited edition. And he just had that bunk worked on, I believe, 3 times. We were doing the 4th one. Let's go see what we got going on in here. So, we are going to investigate this platform. I don't know how good or bad it is, but this is the way they did the bunk. And you stand back here, right? You go, oh, it don't look all so bad. Well, for some reason they got those coming through. Can you see those right there for the lights? That's a concern. And then the other problem that what they did is they just put the old or their new sheathing on top of the old stuff. So it kind of looks crappy. They just slapped it on there. You can see like down in there. That joint don't look right. Molding down there, and so we're going to take it apart. I'm going to see what's going on with it and see how much I like and dislike about it. And we'll investigate it. So again, I don't know where I'm going with it as of yet. But that was. I hate to do extra work that doesn't need to be done. If it doesn't need to be done, I can just straighten it up and I'll do it. But again, I don't know. Alright, so that's that. And we're going to go up to the roof and take a look. So right off the rip, right off the start, you can tell that somebody was real smart when they put this together. Because as you come up this ladder, you can trip on that vent. How would they know how to put the ladder over there? That's just some stupid stuff. You come right up here, trip over a vent. Or when you try to get back on the ladder, trip on it, right? Look at all the slobbering they did here. Gee whiz. That's a lot of daggum slobber. No gutters. But when you're inspecting your coach, what you're looking for is right in here. You want to see if there's any little hair fractures. If it's compromised right here, typically all they do to protect the siding and the roof, that corner right here, is they'll put some tape on it, like duct tape. So that's what you want to look for. You want to obviously make sure this is sealed as well. So you got a radio antenna. I haven't seen one of those in an actual Class C like this before in a long time. I don't know what year this thing is. So then we got this Air 360, and I am not a proponent for these at all. So it's here. I'll put it back, but I don't install them. So that's already cracking right there. Keep putting more on, more on. That is her cash cow. These companies, they exploit people's ignorance to roof systems, and they tell you this is what you got to do, this is what you got to know. That isn't the right way to do it, and they do it so they can keep selling your product. That's the good old corporate America way. More money, more money, more money. Let's not do it right like it should be done, so people can enjoy it and get their money's worth. Let's screw them with poor quality so it falls apart, so we can go back and charge them again. A bunch of dopes. Oh man, that's why I don't have any sponsors. Nobody's going to sponsor me, because I tell it like it is. You're doing a crappy job and you're screwing customers. Period. Period. I mean, that right there, that is just one of the stupidest things that I have seen. And I really would like to move that over here, but I don't know if there's any framing on the back wall to carry it. And also you got the window in the way, so that should have been jogged over a bit. So there's nothing I can do to change it. It just stinks that it's like that. But like I said, they don't care. Get it built, get it out, get it sold. You know, just watch your step when you come up there. I cannot get over that mess. That is just ridiculous. So what we're doing now is taking everything apart, and then we're gonna rip the roof off and show you what's underneath and blah blah blah. Take the bunk apart, all that nonsense. What they tried to do when they rebuilt this portion, all they did was cut the roofing. It doesn't even look like the same exact roof actually. I think they just found a piece of old rubber, and then they put this tape on here. And this isn't going to hold. You can see it right there. It's not going to hold. A lot of people think the tape itself is pretty good, but unless you prep it right and seal it right, you still have to seal this edge. That black edge you're looking at is the butyl. And when the UV light hits it, it causes it to release like this. And it'll start coming up. It's the same on this side. You can see that belly right there. You know. Then I guess they're using these big old drywall screws to get on through there. So I got some of these other ones. We already pulled out a couple of them. I don't know. I mean, it's not so much the drywall screw per se, but it should have been at least an exterior type screw so it doesn't rust out. I got all this other nonsense on here. So we got a little bit of work to do to figure out what we're going to do. See the corners will come up. So like I said, this piece, that's not this roof, and they're two different roof membranes. And you see, someone went around and went all around that vent with some tape. It doesn't work. Even if you were to spray this roof, if the spray system worked, I would buy one. It doesn't work. It will not hold up. It'll stick to the roof real well. That part I found out. But everything else, it won't. It doesn't stick to it. So there's no sense in using it, because this is where we find all the problems. Is through all the vents and protrusions coming through the roof. That's where your problem are. A lot of times you don't have an issue with the roof unless something is tore into it or something has cut it, tree branch. You know, over time, obviously it's going to fail, but as a rule, you're going to find more issues with protrusions, things coming through the roof, than you will with the roof system. But nonetheless, we still got to tear it up, fix it all. So, and like try to go along and check make sure the slide out. These are slide out toppers. Check them. Take a screw out. Well, we got to take all this up and put a gutter on here anyway. So. All right, checking out our awning. We just dusted them off. We got some bruising. I don't know what this is. I don't know what that is. This here. So I don't know if we want to replace it. This is the strap that we use to pull this out. It's manual. All this acrylic has failed. Yep. Out there. All done, and then the other side's almost the same anyways. So I'll go around and show you that. Basically, I do a lot of this to note it. So, you know, sometimes the customer doesn't realize how bad it is. You know, we go to try to put things together and they're all dry rotted and they break and crack like that. All this cracking. So, and then on the ends of this one, it's all frayed. And sometimes those things can just kind of zip right along, and you like try to be the best and gentle you can, but you know, another whatever that is, something here. So it's kind of weathered for sure. Okay, so we've got the molding off of here. And then let's see. I don't know if you can see this amount of it showing up. See my little. There you go. Right in here, if you can see that hump right there, there's another one right here. That was obviously something was leaking inside there. So these lights right here, they sealed them around here, but the actual part where you put the screw, right there, where you actually get the screw in the hole, right, to screw it down. Here I can see what I'm doing right there. They didn't seal that. When they took screws out, they were rusty. So we're going to peel this off and see what we can do. I don't think we're going to be reusing this. So if it rips, it's fine. But then there's a couple other issues that I don't like underneath that I'm going to correct anyways. Yeah, this, we'll end up putting a new piece on it. It already ripped right here. So that's good that they used some good glue on it, but they just didn't seal it, so that caused the job to go sour. You should have really sealed those lights up. So, and then let me go show you what I found down there that I don't like. So took this piece off too. It's basically a turn bar. We took that off so we could see what's going on underneath. And this is what we got. So this is pretty strong. They just put it in with some drywall screws. So I don't really like that. And they also screwed into this plywood like that on an angle. See? So I don't really care for that. And then look at this one right here. See how the head is, it's not in right. They should have countersunk that if they were going to use it. But I don't know why they just didn't use exterior screws. That would have been a lot smarter. So now if you really got this, try to stay tight like it should. You would actually have that screw poking through the face. So that's one of the reasons why we'll take it off. But structurally, they've got this piece of steel right here that runs up over there to the top kind of runs on let's see if I can show you, on an angle this way. And you got plenty of screws in here holding it into the platform. And then they got it screwed into that right there on the top part right there. See all the screws in there? So that looks pretty sturdy. That part I like. So it seems to be okay. And some things I may not do myself like that. I think this piece of steel is kind of heavy. If this whole thing was rotted and the whole thing really needed to be replaced, which doesn't look it to me, then I wouldn't even put that back in there because I think it adds too much weight, and I would have made my own radius, which would have been just as strong, but it would have been a lot lighter. So, you know, I don't think I'm going to go that route and build one, but like I said, I may change my mind. I've been known to do that. I look at it and I go, you know what, I'm going to do this or that, and then I change it. But I'm just trying to save somebody's wallet. If I don't have to do it unnecessarily, then I just leave it, you know. All right, well, let me see what happens when we tear all this off, and that'll tell me more about it. That's what we got. All delam there, so that piece will come off. So we shall see. Maybe we can just do the top part. And really not liking that radius the way it is. It's not going to sit as tight as I would want. So let me venture something. See, this is why it didn't stay. They use regular construction adhesive, and if you look, you'll see how they swirled it all in there. It's not going to stick. It doesn't stick to the polystyrene foam. It actually disintegrated it and ate it. So nothing was really holding it on there. So obviously this is all coming off.
It's an interior sheet.
Yeah, it's an interior sheet. Well, I don't know, maybe they flipped it. So that's it coming off. The glue does not want to stick to the aluminum. You have to know your compatibility. And this isn't it. You have to prep this aluminum. So that was easy pull off. I mean, it just literally came right off. So we'll get whatever little residue, we'll clean that up. And then we're probably gonna end up using this frame. Probably end up reusing it, and then I just got cleaned up and prep it. But it doesn't look like, it doesn't look bad. So that's why I'm bouncing around. See that, or I build a new one. And this doesn't look so bad that I'd have to build a new one. I could just fill it in with the foam. See the foam here, you can see all this little trough right here. That's where the adhesive sat in there. And the problem is that it ate this instead of bonding it. It ate it. And people, you know, they say they've done certain things. Hey, I've done this, I've done that, and you know, they'll rattle on, show you some on YouTube, and everybody just picks something up out of the store. They pick it up out of the store and they say, hey, you know, I can use this, I can use that. No, you can't, it's not compatible. But they don't know anything about the products, they don't know how to research the products, they don't know the intended purpose of the product. So how can you say it's going to be, look at that, it's just filling right up. That's crazy. So that's why we do what we do. We want to make sure it all comes together instead of just put it together because that's the way we've been doing it for years. You know, you have to find out who's who and who's what and what works with what. So like I said, once we prep this, we can go ahead and glue it, but I've got a different adhesive than that stuff. I'm guessing this is like liquid nails. It could be PL panel or something. It's hard for me to tell exactly what brand it is, but the composition is obviously similar enough to know that it's not working. But the stuff that I use is super strong. So, and once you glue it, it's done. It's a done deal. You're not going to get it apart. We prepped all the aluminum. You can see, hopefully you can see it in here. See all that jaundice on there? All this jaundice. That's what we did. We put a primer in here. So we get that all squared away. And then, well, the tough part is how do you get the thing, the board to the aluminum? You can see we got all the glue in there. So we get all that. That thing is going to be tight as a drum. Sealed up. The frame was pretty good, so there was no reason to make another one. I just had to strengthen it up a little bit. I'm going to put some foam in here. We're going to glue it all together. That'll give it a lot of strength. But this piece here, we nailed onto here. You can see the tiny little nails. And we did that with a fancy dancy gun. if I've run into a situation where I know I need a better tool to do something, customers depend on us to do jobs, and if you can't do it right, you need to buy the tool that does do it right. You know, sometimes you can navigate around, do something a little differently, maybe screw it in or this or that, but in this case, if I were to have screwed this on, this piece up underneath here, this one, to there, well, I would have had to probably countersink them. I would have had to use some really small screws, because when you go to put something else over it, you'd see the screw heads through it. So that would be a real tedious job. So what I did is I went out and I bought a gun. This gun is fancy. This gun is designed for metal framing. When you see these buildings go up and they don't have wood studs, they've got metal studs, you can use a gun like this and it will actually pin them back together. And that's what it does. I already stapled this, I shot this one in right here. I got that one in. So basically, it's got rivets in it. If I keep turning it, I'm sure I'll break it loose. But that one's got rivets in. Let me see if I can find another piece for you. I thought I had one kicking around here. Here it is. Bam, done. It's all nailed together. $5 gun. You know, it really is. But it does the job. It does exactly what you need. So if you're going to be in the business, if you're a DIYer or somebody who's watching my videos going, you know, I can do that, well, you better be prepared to drop at least $400 on that gun. And probably with all the scaffold and everything we got, 10 grand on it. You know, you need to do things right. You need to do things proper. Make sure everybody works safe. Make sure you have the right tool for the right job. So now I'm going to fill all this with foam. I'll put the next piece on. I'll shoot it all together and nail it together. And it should be ready to go back up on the platform right here. And then I'm working on that radius, that metal piece. I took it out because I wanted to weigh it, you know, basically get an idea how heavy it is. And I can make a better radius with a lighter weight, and I'd also have the whole roundness radius if you want. I'd have all that already done. So going with this heavy, then I still have to put my other pieces on it. I just don't feel comfortable putting it in there with all that weight on there. So what happens when you get down the road, and you're hitting bumps, that whole thing is going to just be kind of bouncing with you. And you got all that weight is still going to be kind of bouncing on the platform too. I mean, it's all going to kind of move together. But I'd like to try to, and I know that's what's going to happen, but I'd like it to be lighter so you don't have all that energy just kind of pulling down on, you know. So let's see what I can come up with. And now I got it filled in, all the foam. You can see all the adhesive. So I glued these down, all these panels. They're fully adhered, not just a little spray. We sprayed the whole thing. And then I'm going to fill this in with another adhesive, so it all bonds together. That's what helps keep the strength in there. And then made all these little pieces. These are where the lights go. That's why I didn't put them in there. This is what's called isocyanate. This is a great foam. It's a commercial foam. Everything I use here is all commercial. So you can look at that, see how smooth it is. You can see just how smooth it is. That's a closed cell. Look at this one. See how pocky it is? That's an open cell. This is going to have more strength to it, and it's also going to have a better R value. So that's why I use it. And it also has, what I like about it, also has the paper on it. So you can put glues on there. You can put adhesives on there. Certain ones that are stronger because they may be a solvent base. So the reason why all this had failed with all that, I don't know, whatever they used, the construction adhesive, I don't know what brand it was, but the reason it failed is because there's a solvent in it. And the solvent basically ate it all. You can see every place that they came up and down with it. Now, really, in my opinion, had they tried to they should have fully adhered this. It would have got a better bond, in my opinion. So, but you can see how they just kind of threw it all in there. Again, so now I just got to fill it with some foam, adhesive. Once I get that in there, I'm going to clad it again with another piece of panel, another piece of sheathing, and then she's going to be ready to go back in. And I am going to make a new radius. I didn't like the weight of the other steel that I was talking about earlier, so I'm going to make a whole new radius for it and do it the way I normally do them. I'd feel more comfortable with it. And then, like I said, I just didn't like the weight on it. It's really heavy, and even if I add to what I need to add, to me, that's just way too much weight, unnecessarily, put it that way, unnecessary weight. So we're going to get rid of it. And then we got a couple other issues up top their factory defects. I'll show you that after a while when we get up there. This is the defect that I was telling you about. See if I can get the camera over there. See that gap under there? So what it is there's one here. You can see it. Then there's one over there as well. Those are the trunk lines. These are the trunk lines for the AC. I don't know why it's puckered, but we weren't going to tear anything up, so we're going to correct it and just kind of float that so we can get the roof to sit right. All right, this is our bunk. All delammed, all the way down here. So we got to get back to something clean before we can fix it. But that's all delaminated right there. Then the other problem we have with this is it's all, you can see it looks all kind of fuzzy, and that's a big concern with it. That tells me that it's kind of been saturated for a while. I don't know if I showed you that good enough. I wasn't looking at the screen. You can probably see it without the light even better. But the foam that's inside here is a moisture meter. See if we can read that. Let me turn it on, would help. Let's see what we got. That's reading, trying to read it so I can show you. It looks like it's reading about, see if it'll focus in there. About 30, it says it's 32. Just have to lean a little bit. You have to read it upside down, I guess. But it's that's 32. That's way too much. So we're just going to tear it all out. It would take too long to try to get that to dry out. So we're going to tear it out. The inside wall, they did a bad job on that anyways. So that's 32. Let's see what this is reading over here. See, that's reading 0. I'm going to turn the camera. That's 0. That's what foam should be. Turn back on you. Foam doesn't hold moisture. It should be 0. This one here, like I said, that one's sitting at, let's say there, see I got the camera, sorry for all the blur. I'm up on a ladder. Come on. What did I say, like 30, that says 41 right now. So we gotta get it out, it's too high. On wood, you can do about 15%. That's average wood is 15% moisture, but foam is 0. If you've got moisture in there, you have to get it out. It won't. It'll when the what happens is you have the moisture in there. The sun's UV light will start to kind of extract it out, much like it does your sweat on your skin. It'll pull it out. It'll pull that moisture out, and it'll cause the other to release. It's got to go. This is a crappy piece they had in there. We just got that out. And we're just going to tear everything out here and also on that other side. All right, we took out the foam. We got a new piece in there. We got a new piece over here. And now we got this new skin that's on the outside. We'll take a router and we'll trim that around. Now what we're going to do is glue all that back together. We got rid of all that bad wood in there. And then like I said, we're going to spray it. We'll glue it back together. So then we still got to work on the bottom over here. Right up underneath the window. This area. So in here, this sheathing was pretty good. We were able to salvage that. It's not delammed, just had a little bit of water stain on it, and we cleaned it, dried it, and everything, so it's good. And that's why we're going to be able to glue it to there. But obviously this piece, this was all routed up in here. So, and then way in the back, you can see the color difference. That's because that's the old stuff, this is the new stuff, but that's all dry back there. So we got all that squared away. We dry fit the bunk. We got that radius in there. We got the top on there. Everything's all set. We dry fit it. Looks great. We're just trying to get the roof on. Here's our roof. Driver's side. We've already got it all glued, ready to roll over. And then we've got puts these aluminum flashing. That's what we put on here. Just broke it and put it down. That's what you call when you bend it. It's called a break. But we put these on here to protect the pylon and the roof with a corner where it meets from chafing the main roof. So what they had was just tape on there, which that's not usually adequate. You can see some of these other spots. They're a little high here and there, and we glued it down. Sometimes that foam will kind of lift up a little bit, and then we just sanded it down. But On the plus side, we did take that curse out, that curse that was in there from the trunk line, the AC trunk line, it come out. So it looks a lot better. And then way up in that corner up here, in the front, right in this area, it had a weird hump this way, so we shaved all that down. I don't know why that was there. Some of this is manufacturer's defects when they come out. Actually, most of everything is. So we want to fix it so you don't have an issue. Now these, when we put these down, they're glued down as well. We glue them down and staple them down. They're there. They're going to stay. So, all right, let us get this thing rolled out. We're going to do the other side. It's going to be the same exact thing. Then we're going to start assembling the roof. So, all right, we have got the roof all rolled out on both sides, as you can see. We're going to take this big Mamu, the big Mamu roller, and we're going to go up and down and all around and get it really tight. And she be done. Then move that rag, of course. Well, we get our roof rolled out and we get all the holes cut out for vents and ACs and things like that. We get that much done. Then we get the bunk done. I'll show you that in a minute. The bunk isn't done. What I meant to say, we got it all assembled. We got sheet metal on here. What that's going to do with that radius that I built, it's going to bond all that together, this top part, and then the bunk, the platform underneath. And then on the top up there, that's going to bond the platform again here, the front face, to the actual roof and bring it all together. There is a frame up there, we screwed it together, but it just adds some more strength to it. What I'm trying to do is get everything to work in concert, and we just put all these pieces in there for that reason. So now it's nice and smooth, and we will get the file on. Well, we get the bunk together. She's ready to roll. Oh, we got some new LED lights up there as well. Got all those sealed. I like those ones a little better because they're all, that one is a sealed cap with it. So I kind of like those a little better. Or at least, I shouldn't say that, I don't think these ones are, but we sealed all the caps, put it that way. If you have those, sometimes those caps pop off, and I've just noticed some leaks come through them. So near the top, going all the way across, when they brought this up originally on the side, let's see if I can show you all the mess that's on my scaffold. But if you look right there, that's kind of sharp, that corner, and you're not going to be able to get the file on to kind of roll around that way. It's just not going to happen. So what we did was we stopped it up there, but I put another piece of flashing up there, which is the piece you see going all the way across. So we've got that all together. We got everything, new stick underneath here, that's termination bar. Put a new one of those, put in all new insert trim and everything else. So we're gonna go up on the roof, take a look, and I'll show you what we got. Okay, we are done. So we got our boots right here on the ladder. Get all that nice and tight. I'll show you something else we did to the ladder. Here's our brand. We put these on here because then when this comes back for inspections, we can monitor it. We can see how old the roof is, see how it's performing, and if we have issues, we can reach out to the manufacturer. That is one reason, and the second reason is if this customer decides to sell this coach, we don't want anybody trying to get up here and talk them down, because they, these RV roofs, as a rule, all the other ones here, they're all junk. This isn't the same thing. So he can say, hey, that was just put on, and then August of 22. So those are the reasons we put that on there. But now getting back to the ladder, I'll start off this way. I usually forget, and I don't like to forget, but I want to thank the customer for bringing this all the way down from Virginia. He came all the way down for us. I can imagine how many RV centers he probably passed just to come to us. But he's had trouble with that bunk up there before. I think we are the third company to actually rebuild that bunk. So that's kind of disheartening when you go somewhere and you expect it to be done. Since it wasn't right, he should have been able to go back to that company and say, hey, you just did this and it's leaking and coming apart, yada yada yada. And they should have fixed that, in my opinion. If it came out of my shop, we would have fixed it if it was like that. Anyhow, we're just kind of a different shop, I guess. We're not a corporate America shop. So we got the ladder here. One of the things I don't like about these Class C ladders is they just put these outrights here to kind of hold the ladder. So we took the ladder apart. We want to make sure all the screws were tight. There's some insert nuts that go in there. We replaced those. I've showed them on a couple of videos. But then all your weight is really, when you're getting on here, is on here. And I didn't like that. So what we did, I'm going to see if I can show you. See, I zoom up a little bit. Trying to work on my camera skills here. See that piece there? It goes from the bottom of the ladder to the bumper. So now all your weight is sitting right on the bumper. These outrights here are just basically holding it from going this way. As well as that right there, these mounts. All right, so we got all that. We've got all of these curves and everything. These are all heat welded in. They're not glued. That's not caulking. You can see some shinier spots. That's the penetration of the heat. We weld the whole thing all the way in, all heat welded. So you're not going to have any issues with this. Because you won't have to keep coming up here and caulking it. All they have to do for the warranty is bring it back. We like to see them come back 30, 60 days at most, but 30 days is really ideal. But the point of it is I want these to move. I want the coaches to rack and twist and flex, so when they come back, we can see if there's anything we need to adjust up. I would hate to have something that we could have fixed turn into something that was more because, hey, it was just loose and then someone neglected it. And I've seen the smallest of problems turn into the biggest of problems. You know, when you see it, you can go, hey, and we can go over the coach. We look at the coach and, you know, we want to inspect the caulking and everything. And if we feel that it's not right, then we'll fix it right then and there before it becomes a problem. We know all this. So that's why I like to see them come back. Then they come back every year thereafter. So you come back next year, we're going to renew your warranty for another year, and we'll do that for up to 20 years, okay? We keep renewing your warranty, so your warranties are contingent upon inspection, for sure. This is a 20-year system. Now, the material warranty, the way that works, and it works with every single manufacturer. This is not just with this brand here. The manufacturer warranty is unusual oxidation, unusual fading, that type thing, but they only warranty the material. They don't warranty the labor. They don't warranty all the detail welding and all that. They don't do that. That's why we want to see them come back, so we can make sure that everything is okay. So the other thing we did is we went around the tops of the lights here, but you know, all around the windows, this really does need to get caulked and sealed again. Then one other thing that you might have noticed on this particular coach, we had this big roll coming down. I can imagine how much water is going to come down here, and I didn't want it to keep running all the way down the coach. So I put a little gutter on here. I put smaller spouts on this one. I just thought the other ones just looked a little bombastic, so I found some of these and put them on instead. So we get 2 strikes of caulking all the way down. 2 strikes of caulking everywhere. So we got 2 strikes of caulking going down the roof on the front, and then also along the back. And the reason we do that is because if you've ever operated a caulking gun and you're going along and you're squeezing the gun and you hear it pop and crackle, well, you just injected an air bubble. So now as the coach is racking, flexing, twisting, that could breach, and if it breaches, it could be a leak. We don't want that. So that's why we go over it twice. I mean, it would be slim to none to have an air pocket land on top of another air pocket. So that's why we do them. Put in some new bolts in here too as well, and get all that sealed up. So again, all around the windows, we go over this with the customer, and hopefully he's watching the video, and if he is, again, like I said, we thank him for coming here, but please get some caulking around here, scratch all that out, you know, scrape it out, and then everywhere, around your windows, around your latches, anywhere where water's going to hit, if it's screwed to the side, take the screws out, put some caulking behind it, and then go ahead and put the screws back in. And then we usually put a little daub on the head of the screw, you know, then when we finish screwing it in, you end up with basically like a grommet, you know, a lot like the way these ones are right here. See how the little, got that caulking underneath there. We go along and just put a dot, and then we'll put these down. But actually these are done a different way than anybody else does. You can see how thick that is. What we do is we pad that first, and we nestle this down. We don't put screws in it, and we just kind of nestle it down. And then when it cures out, then we go back, we put a second strike on it, and then we put the screws in. And I want basically a good 1/4 inch of cushion up underneath there on here. So even if you took all these screws out, this thing is not coming off. It is not coming off. That's how strong this stuff is. So again, we put on gutters on this one. It didn't have gutters when it come in, so we put gutters on. And we put our insert trim in here. A little booger there. Let me get that out of there. Put our insert trim on here, and I'll show you what that is in a minute. Got our plumbing. What's great about the way I do my plumbing, so these boots, again, all heat welded, but if a tree clips this right off and pops this will just go down into the holding tank. It can't leak anywhere else. Or on your typical RV ones, if those breach, you're going to have to get that covered up because it will get into the roof deck and, you know, it'll get water in there. So like I said, we got our stands in the back. That just gives it some balance. And then you got the cover that comes on here. And now that the rain comes down, up underneath here is a foam gasket. and I don't want any water to get into that foam gasket. So in order to make sure that doesn't happen, especially as you're traveling, you may have some wind blowing and you may have all this, you're doing 70 miles an hour down the highway in the rain, you know you're going to get something blowing up where you don't want it to be. So what we did is there's a piece of counter flash that goes up under the covers. So now the water comes down, rolls down, hits there, and drops. So what happens is up underneath on this curb, the way I designed them, they all have this is called a counter flash. So when the water comes up, it's going to end up rolling the other direction, and that's basically going to minimize any erosion effect. So the only other thing that we probably want to do, and we check for these too, is may have to change, not so much change them out, maybe paint those. So if the customer comes up here and wants to throw some paint on them so they don't rust, I'm going to probably have to look in. The reason why I use those is because I can't get galvanized nylon nuts. So if somebody knows where I get those, I probably would do it. I like those nylon ones better because they just stay tighter, but then the disadvantage is that they sometimes they'll rust despite being zinc, right? So again, we got this all heat welded, everything's all heat welded in here, and then up here he wanted this little transponder, and that's for Easy Pass. So then it'll pick it up and he's good to go. You can see how we bolted it in there, so it should be all right. The only thing I would see, and I don't know much about it, if it didn't pick it up, then you may just have to flip that over, I guess, or something. But otherwise, I'm sure that'll work just fine. Now, we put up a new antenna. He had that 360 we took off, and we didn't know which wire that was hooked up into this particular coach, so we pulled both wires through. But you can see we got galvanized bolts on that one, and all you have to do on these, if that broke or if it failed for whatever reason, just take a 9/16 wrench, pop that off, go in the store, get another one. You may have to drill out the little holes in the legs because we drill them out a little bit. And then other than that, you can pop it right down. You don't have to deal with any caulking. You don't have to deal with any of that. And you can see the nice gap we got underneath there. All that water can get off the roof. You don't want to put stuff on a roof where water is going to get trapped around or build up. That's just asking for a leak. So now the roof system in itself is a 60 mil. This is a 60 mil commercial grade TPO. TPO stands for thermoplastic. That's what it is. Now TPO, it heat welds together. So that's why we can be able to do all this. But this particular TPO, and most of them are about the same in regards to the way they're constructed. See if you can see them in here. Some show up a little better than others. There's a mesh in there. There you go. You can see the little squares. There's a mesh in there, and that's what gives it strength. So against hail, tree branches, things like that. So, and again, this particular material is a 60 mil. You're going to see this on a hotel, office building, a library, commercial building. This is what this is. You do not have to coat it. The only maintenance that you want to do to this thing is probably wash it a couple of times a year, and that'll be good. You'll be done. And then you bring it, you bring it to us. We do all your inspections, so that's easy peasy. You get up there and wash it with Simple Green if you want to do it yourself, or if you want to bring it to a truck wash and have them get up there and wash it with a pressure washer, you can do that as well. So here is, we put these gutters on, and then this is just black trim for contrast, I guess. And then this is your typical RV stuff. I'm trying to see if I can get the light in there a little better, but see how that's just flat like that? It just sits in this track right here. That's all it does. See, like that? It just sits and gets up, sits right in there. So I don't like this because water tends to get down inside here a lot and it builds up. I don't like it. So I had a special order this, the black anyways. I had a special order all this stuff. But anyhow, this has a groove in it. And that groove, it sits in that track and then sits over the track. And that's what seals everything out. So I like this a lot better. And it has a little bulbing to it. You can see it has a little bulbing. And I like that because then the water will tend to want to roll down. That does too, I guess, but at least I know when it rolls down it's not going to get into that track because I got the other end of it over there. You can see how it just kind of goes over it a little bit. Look, get the camera over there. Alright, so we appreciate y'all watching. Keep in mind these aren't DIY videos. I don't do any DIY videos. I don't do any tutorials. I don't do any of that. Honestly, I just don't have the time for it. There's just no way. I get inundated with a lot of, hey, what about this? Hey, what about that? And then some of the questions that I have come to me, I just shake my head and, I can't help. I can't help. And I'm not trying to ridicule anybody. Obviously, if you don't know, you need to ask, that's for sure. But sometimes you may be getting into more than what you're expecting. I had one guy that asked me about, he had decking on there, and some of the TPO, especially they do make a kind that's called fleece back. They make it on a commercial level, really good, really great product. Kind of expensive, but nonetheless, they also make it in RV grade. So when you peel your roof up, you're going to have all that fuzz on there. And the only way you can fix that is you're going to have to redeck the roof. You can't peel it off. It's not going to come off. You got to redeck the roof. You got to glue it down. So that being said, okay, thank you for that information. What's the next question? How do you glue it down? I'm sure that would be the next one coming. So, and then what kind of glue do you use? What do you do this? And again, I just don't have time to go over all this. I try to show what I can show on here if you can get some tips, but I just simply don't have the time to show every single step. These videos would be incredibly long, or even longer than the fun mover, when that turned out to be an hour and a half, and I was trying to do short clips on that to put it together. So we don't edit anything, so sometimes, you know, as much as I hate to say it, my camera work may not be all that great, but we don't edit in the same. All I do is pull them off the camera, we load them onto the program, enter some transitions, that's it. And as you can tell, I don't have a fancy intro, I don't have any sponsors, because I keep calling everybody out on all the crap that they do wrong and how they're screwing everybody. So, you know, corporate America doesn't want to deal with that. They want you to be politically correct and be nice and take everybody's money. I don't do that here. So, anyhow, again, I appreciate everybody watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
So, in our care package, we have caulking, we got primer, we have got 2 patches. Those are heat patches. We got a patch peel and stick patch. We got a checker tool. We've got a magnet. And the rest of this is just pens, keychains, brush, nozzle. Okay, so if we have a hole in the roof, it will simulate a hole. You can do hole simulations. We say we got a hole there. Here's your tree branch come through, and you're like, oh man, I got a hole in my roof, it's leaking. What you want to do? And it's raining out. Right now it's raining. You're like, crap, I gotta stop that leak. You want to get in there, and if you can't get that nozzle in there, don't worry about it. Make it a little bigger. What you try and do, you need to get up underneath the roofing, like this. This is what we need to do, get up underneath the roofing. Then you're going to take and you're going to put this up inside there, and you're going to squeeze, 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 squeeze. Hopefully this thing is plugged up. There it goes. You squeeze, squeeze. You're going to try and get up underneath this part too. Squeeze up underneath there. Put some more underneath there. But we are getting this thing all boogered up. Then what we're going to do, you're going to push it together. See how it oozes out? That's sealed. You're done. This is a moisture cured product. So what? It's a hot mess. Looks terrible. Who cares? Keep the water out. So now, the next day, we're going to go up there, and that's going to be cured looking like that. So we're going to take a knife, and you just shave it down. Just shave it down with a knife. I'm just going to obviously wipe this off. Now you say, hey, I want something a little better than that. So what we're going to do is get some cleaner. This is a terrible rag. You got another one. You got one on you? Oh, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag. Hey, what are you doing? What are you going to talk about, man? No, just leave it alone. Oh, leave it alone right now. We're recording now? Are we on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Alright, so now we cleaned it off with a knife. I just washed that off because it's still wet. Take that off. So now we got a patch. This is a peel and stick patch. We're going to take that, we're going to center it over there. Just take a pen and go around like this. I like to kind of put a dash like that so I know who's where, what, and where, and how. So now there's what I got. So in the package we got primer. We also have a brush. You're going to take that, you're going to go all inside the square. You also got to go outside this square about 3/8 of an inch. Outside about 3/8 of an inch or so. Once you get that, there's a film on the back. You peel the film, now you know which side you are, see, because there's your marks. And you peel that film back. I can get my fat fingers in there to get the film off of this thing. This is just a regular roof tape. That's all it is. We put them in all the care packages. Get that daggone thing off of there. Probably need some fingernails. Probably help. Come on. There it is. Okay. Oop, there it is. Now you got the film. We'll take that film. So now we're going to line it back up with this. We already got the primer under there. You just peel the film back, and as you do, you just rub it down like this. Sometimes that film will get a little stuck in there. This is just a butyl. You just kind of try to keep it as even as you can and flat as you can. Boom, you're done. There it is. So now, out here, this is where your primer is. You put the primer on there. You got primer there, and now you're going to put primer here. You want to prime all this area with your brush. Prime all that. Then you're going to come back. Once you get it all primed, then you're going to put a little bit of caulking on it, just like this. That simple. If it doesn't all sit in there, you can always take your finger and go around it if you want. We're trying to obviously stop a leak and make one of. There's going to be a little more permanent of a patch than just that plug that we did when it was raining. So now that we get that all done, the whole purpose of it is this part here. This part underneath here, that's a butyl. When the sun hits that, if you didn't have the caulking on there, it will cause it to release and curl up just like I'm doing here. And it'll start coming loose. That's why you need the primer. That's why when you prime it, you're going to prime on top of this because nothing will stick to it. Nothing, the caulking will not stick to this patch and it won't stick to the roof unless you use the primer. That's how you do a patch. Ta-da! All done.